First, in today's news, we look at Egypt, where Mohamed Morsi, the country's first democratically elected president, ousted in 2013, will face the death penalty for passing state secrets and mass jailbreaks in 2011. A court ruled this on Saturday. All death sentences must first be sent to the Grand Mufti, Egypt's highest religious authority, for his opinion on whether they should stand, and the convictions are still open for appeal, even if the Grand Mufti gives his approval. The sentence largely condemns Morsi for the violence during the 2011 Arab Spring-inspired protest against the former president Hosni Mubarak. Meanwhile, Mubarak himself avoided charges in a trial over the deaths of anti-government protesters during the 18-day revolt that toppled him. The Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood and the Palestinian Hamas movement condemned the court's verdict against Morsi and called on the international community to take action. Venezuela's president Nicolás Maduro announced yesterday that Venezuela would try to negotiate a $100 oil price with oil producers outside of OPEC. He made the announcements while speaking to press ahead of a private meeting with Qatar Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani in Caracas. The announcement comes 3 weeks ahead of the next OPEC meeting, where members will evaluate whether to cut production to boost slumping prices.
The campaign for the final elections for Buenos Aires city mayor kicked off on Friday with a massive rally organized by the local branch of President Cristina Fernández's political force, the Front for Victory. Members of that coalition say that their political goal is to establish a new orientation for Buenos Aires, closer to the progressive views of the Argentine government.
Big business in Buenos Aires is given free rein to act without any kind of accountability, with politics in this city being purely cosmetic. Structural policies, such as education and healthcare, are given less importance, and those are the things in which the national administration is much more focused.
Mayoral hopeful Mariano Recalde seeks to counterbalance the growth that the right wing, led by Mayor Mauricio Macri's pro-party, has experienced in the city.
There are so many differences between us and the pro-party. We even understand beauty differently. For them, the city is more beautiful because only looks at superficial beauty. For us, the city will be more beautiful when it is fair. That is the difference between us and the pro-party.
The campaign will continue until July 5, when the election will take place, and it is very likely to have a second round to define who will be the new mayor. Laureano Ponce, Telesur, Buenos Aires.
Berta Cáceres is a Honduran indigenous leader that recently received the Goldman International Environmental Award. On her return to Honduras after a tour in the United States, she said that the fight for the protection of natural resources still comes under threat from corporations who are supported by the government. Gerardo Torres brings us the report.
The Goldman Award is the most important global recognition for grassroots environmental activists, and this year it was given to Honduran Berta Cáceres, an indigenous leader of the Civic Council of Indigenous People, COPIN, for her defense of the river Rio Gualcarque in the southwest of Honduras, in which international companies are attempting to construct a hydroelectric dam.
The biggest threat to this planet is called capitalism. It's a predator that only works for the big transnational companies, the large corporations, and it values human beings the least. So this prize puts the eyes of the world on us, international observation of Honduras, a country that isn't very well known. People hear things that are very different to the reality here for the people. That's why we feel that this prize is also a denouncement of what's going on in the country.
On August 10 of 2013, COPIN leader Tomás García was shot dead in front of his son while protesting against the electric projects. Cáceres has kept in front of the movement for the protection of the river. Some feel that the international prize could help reduce the threats against the indigenous leader.
This is a way to protect Berta. It's a way to make her visible in the international community, because she's facing real danger.
On her return to the country after receiving the prize last week and a tour on the United States, Berta says that this prize is a motivation to continue, even though the dangers she faces.
There's no respect for life because there's a policy organized by the state of Honduras with collaboration and advice from the United States, Colombia, and Israel of repression and criminalization through laws, through underhanded mechanisms. So we know that there are no guarantees of life.
Berta Cáceres and her struggle are now recognized worldwide, and Honduran environmental activists expect that this recognition will help the struggle against the government attempt to militarize the nation and sell natural resources to private companies. Gerardo Torres, Telesur, Central America.
Filling the streets of the historic center of the Mexican capital, these dissident teachers from the states of Guerrero, Oaxaca, Mexico, and Michoacán protested rather than celebrated their day.
This May 15th, we have nothing to celebrate. We have a lot to defend. Our patrimony, our labor.
They continue to protest a 2013 education reform that they argue seeks to privatize the education system, their labor rights, and apply arbitrary evaluations. Other teachers say they're convinced the reforms also seek to undermine critical pedagogy.
It's in our hands to create future citizens, but not just citizens who look to the government, who aren't critical. Rather, we want to teach students to be aware and critical.
Meanwhile, a contingent of parents of the disappeared 43 teacher training Ayotzinapa students expressed their solidarity with the educators, reiterating the importance of future teachers.
In all social movements, there have always been teachers who organize, spread the word, and participate with the people. I believe today, in the current situation, the role of a teacher continues to be fundamental for this country.
Although a commission of the teachers met with representatives of the Interior Ministry, no agreements were negotiated over slashing polemic parts of the education reform. Teacher union leaders are now threatening a mass labor strike and a boycott of upcoming June 7th midterm elections. Clayton Khan, Telesur, Mexico City.
It is the 67th anniversary of the Palestinian catastrophe, or as we call it, the Nakba. More than 700,000 Palestinian people were forced to evacuate and flee their hometowns, saving themselves from the Israeli-British air and land war on them. Back then, Palestinian people thought that they would soon be returning to their home. 67 years have passed, and Israel still controls more than 85% of the Palestinian territory. Most of this land is currently being called the State of Israel. Hundreds of people marched in Gaza to mark the occasion. Several speeches were delivered by Islamic Jihad leaders. They stated that they only believe in armed resistance to free Palestine.
We don't accept a Palestinian state based on the 1976 borders because Palestine was not occupied in 1967. The Palestinian territories were occupied in 1948, and we, the people of Palestine, have the full right to fight for our land and our rights. We in the Islamic Jihad believe that what was taken by force can only be retaken by force.
In the West Bank, clashes erupted between Palestinian youth and Israeli forces in the occupied city of Nablus. This after Israeli forces attacked a peaceful march that was organized to mark the catastrophe and to condemn the Israeli settlers' attack on Palestinian holy sites. Palestinian medical sources say that at least 21 Palestinian youth have been injured by Israeli tear gas bombs and rubber bullets. More clashes are likely to occur Friday and Saturday as Palestinians mark the 67th year of their historic catastrophe, and Israeli forces are prepared to crack down on celebrations. Noor Harazin, Telesu TV, Gaza.
And we end today's news in China, where around 2,500 runners took part in the 14th annual Great Wall Marathon in the Huangjiaguan Pass in Taijing. Today, the marathon sees competitors run a total of 42.2 kilometers, around 26.2 miles, along a section of the Great Wall of China. Unlike normal marathon, runners must contend with 5,164 steps during the race, making the Great Wall Marathon one of the most difficult in the world.
acts that have marked the course of history. Productions designed in the English language and made for the English-speaking world. This is Documentary. Watch it on telesur.net/English. Telesur, wherever the news, you'll be there.